welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message at the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 823 of the Trinity Force Podcast. I am your host, N.A. Erik, and tonight it's that time again. Patch notes. Yep, we got patch 13.17, which is a behemoth of a patch, so we will try our best to get through it in as expeditious a manner as possible. But before we get into that, let's do the normal banter. I like that I called it out and made it seem like it's a pre-planned step of what we're going to talk about. But B0mo, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. It's only been a couple days since I talked to you last.
Yeah.
Just been playing solo queue. Pretty much it.
Did you get a haircut?
No,
Oh.
I'm actually growing out my hair, but it's
Never
pulled
mind
back
that.
behind my headset.
Okay, that makes sense.
I just showered from coming back from the gym.
Okay, cool. John, it's been like a week and a half or so. How you been, man?
I've been great. Been busy with work, but playing some League. I mean, been playing a good bit of normals.
Nice.
Bit of ARAM. Just with some of my buddies. But yeah, been doing good.
Nice. Glad to
How
hear
have
it.
you been, Erik?
Thank you for asking. I've been good. Played some League so far in the last couple of days. I went on like a 5-game solo queue losing streak and then won a couple. So yeah, even I did find out that I was at Emerald 4 0 LP and lost 4 games in a row, and I didn't demote at all. So there is like still a demotion shield between the tiers, which I was not aware was a thing. But I do know that now. Outside of that,
I know that either.
just drove back from the airport. My girlfriend's going back to Minnesota to visit her family for a few days, and then into the long holiday weekend. So yeah, it's just me and Jojo the dog for the next 5 or 6 days. We're gonna have a ball. Although
Eric's ready to just game 24/7.
Basically.
I know.
Basically. No, I'm not gonna do that constantly. I'm gonna play much more more games than normal, but yeah, still gonna go out on a hike probably on like Saturday or Sunday. We'll see. I'm gonna go walk to like neighborhood bar once, maybe twice, not sure. I got a few like nostalgia fun things planned for myself. Like I got a whole bunch of pizza bagels in the freezer that I'm ready to dive into at some point. I also found out I was furiously Googling last night and found out that all of the episodes of Dragon Tales are on YouTube. And I haven't watched that show since I was a little kid, but like, I think it's going to be really good or it's going to be terrible and I'm going to ruin that experience for myself as a kid. Did either of you guys ever watch Dragon Tales?
I did.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, when I was a kid. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're all on
remember that.
YouTube and PBS. It's not by PBS, like, because it is a PBS like show, but they haven't taken them down. So I'm gonna watch them. There's like 40 episodes per season or something. I'm not gonna watch the whole all 3 seasons. That'd be insanity. But I'm gonna watch some of that and should be pretty fun. Looking forward to it. But
There is a substance that is legal in Colorado that you can consume to help you watch Dragon Tales.
you're talking about recently decriminalized psilocybin mushrooms, correct?
Sure, that
No,
works too.
that is not what I will be ingesting at all. I wouldn't even know where to find it. I'll be honest, even if I wanted to, which I don't, because I'm one of those people that if I were going to participate in psychedelics, I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'd have a bad trip because I mentally would be worried about having a bad trip and then have a bad trip because of it, which is the experience from like talking to some friends that have partaken in the past. That's what they've told me. So it's not for me. But yeah, I might wander down to the dispensary. We'll see. Yeah, there's like 3 within a 2-block radius of my apartment. So, yeah.
So easy access.
Exactly. One of them even
If
has
Dragon
drive-through.
Tales require, if it calls your name, then Dragon Tales. It's right, few blocks down the road.
Yeah, exactly. There's even a drive-through one, so if I want to like order ahead of time and pick it up on the way back from my hike, I can just like show up and pick up my paraphernalia through the window and be on my way. But yeah, so
It's efficiency.
exactly.
No time wasted there.
Not at all. Nope. But yeah, so let's get into the patch though, guys, because this one is a long one for sure. So there's still Arena is now gone, I think. Arena is, or maybe it went away a little bit ago, but it is gone when I was on the client.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no more Arena balancing. Yeah, we're not gonna. I mean, you can't see them because this is an audio podcast, but the skins that are coming out this patch, I think, look amazing personally. But yeah, and then if you're following any of the news with the new champion coming out, they are not being released this patch. It may be 13.18, it may be 13.19. I do not know. There is a cinematic out, and then abilities have been. I don't know if the abilities were a leak, but the cinematic is official. So go check out that cinematic. It is very cool. And I haven't looked at the abilities yet, but I'm excited from all that I've heard. And it's a jungler, or it's at least designed to be a jungler. So I'm excited about that. Because the last jungler they released was Belveth, and I have never played her in an actual game, and I hate her.
What? You've not
She's pretty
played
fun.
her? She is pretty fun. I played a lot of Belveth when she came out.
Nope. I've played her in a practice tool, and I just didn't like the way that she felt much. And it's not my style at all. There's too much button mashing and stuff like that. I've been picking up Scion. I played a game of Crit Garen yesterday in community night. Like I've just been playing face rolly stuff. I will say, if anyone doesn't know what it looks like, go look up or go build some crit on Garen. His crit animation is glorious. He just, instead of like slashing his sword, he takes it and stabs it like an Aatrox empowered auto directly into the target. It's so cool.
It was pretty sick.
Yeah.
I've seen it before.
Yep. I went super troll though. I went Gale Force first, and then, I mean, it worked. I was nigh unkillable because I was facing a Nefiri mid, and I kind of think that's actually it was a very good matchup for me, but I went with that and had like a shield bow, and I built Essence Reaver later, and I didn't get my full 100%. I was at 95% crit, but it was still really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
You didn't want to go Phantom Dancer?
I did Phantom Dancer, yeah. So I
Okay.
guess I could look up what my build order was. I know I went Cull into Berserker Greaves into Gale Force. Let me see. Then it was and then Phantom Dancer, and then Shield Bow, and then Essence Reaver, and then I had a Crit Cloak. So yeah, and I had like over 9 CS per minute as well, and had an 8 KDA. I was doing well. Yeah.
Garen just living his best life.
Living his best life indeed. But enough about my me reveling in my Garen spoils there. Let's talk about a champion that's actually getting changed, because Garen is not. First one is Aatrox, though. Aatrox is getting a couple of... I mean, these are nerfs, probably. It's listed as an adjustment, but realistically, they're probably nerfs. So there's no number changes at all. It's just they're changing the damage type from his enhanced passive auto from physical to magic damage, and the damage type of his W, the everything about it, from physical to magic. That's it. So it no longer will benefit from lethality or armor pen or Black Cleaver, anything like that. It's gonna be all magic damage. Seems like it's a small nerf, but it'll probably be bigger. It'll probably feel bigger than I'm thinking. What do you guys think about this?
I think it's nice because it'll tone down like the Dusk Blade
Yeah.
stuff, like just full lethality. where
Mhm.
he can just one-shot you with his full rotate, not even his Q. It's like
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know. His
Q
passive auto hit.
W auto Q. You're basically dead before the third Q comes out even.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is I don't know. Like you said, it's hard to say. I don't play a ton of Aatrox, so I don't know exactly how this is gonna feel out, but seems like a pretty good way to, I guess, accomplish that.
Yeah, agreed. B0mo, any other thoughts? Nope. All right. Well, I was going to ask you to cover Akshan, but this basically is not even much of a change either. He is getting a slight buff. Well, maybe not a buff. His health growth is going up by 3. His armor growth is going up by 0.5, but his AD growth is going down by 0.5. So he's getting a little tankier while losing a little bit of damage. Probably overall a nerf because he's still not going to be a very tanky champion, but it really is kind of. This doesn't do very much at all, I don't think, especially because he has low base stats, low base AD in general because of his double auto. B0mo, any thoughts about how this will affect facing Akshan for you?
I haven't really seen him that much, but for me at least, his kit feels a little weird. Um, he's supposed to be like a mid lane 80 carry, but he has an ability that just lets you just dive in to the enemy team. And I guess you can kite with it, but at the same time, there's like other ways to use it. Yeah, I actually haven't really seen that much, so I can't really comment too much
His
about the
win rate
change.
hasn't changed, nor his pick rate so far. And we have like 53,000. We have actually so far this patch. Oh wait, this is 1317. I thought it was on live. It's not, or at least the stat sites are
Should
not
be.
reflecting it. U.GG doesn't have it. Does
I mean,
OP.GG?
so Lola Analytics says he's, let's see, 52.6% gold plus.
They do have 1317. Okay, so U.GG is not displaying it. Okay, so I got to change my stat site for today.
Yeah, it's really weird too because he's one of those champions that don't have a lot of ability. Well, his W makes it so he only has 2 actual abilities he can use in lane, right? So
Yeah.
the third one's mainly for roaming. So it's if you're saving your E for the entire skirmish or waiting to use it to get out of a sticky situation, you really only have one ability, which makes it kind of hard to play. He's very committal, right? So you have the reset on the E if you do get a kill, but if you don't get a kill, it stops on the first champion hit, or you can stop swinging. But yeah, it seems, I don't know. I just haven't seen a lot of it, but I think it's partly due to his kit is kind of clunky.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it should be a very smooth kit compared to a lot of the other champions.
Yeah. Agreed. Stats wise, he's actually gone up in win rate, but I think that's more of a sample size thing than anything else. So
I think so too. I think it's very minor change, but like B0mo was saying, I don't really see him like at all, really.
and then the few
Probably
times
played,
you
like,
do see
one.
him, they're really, really good, and you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he can get some nice rooms off for sure with that his W. Also, he can just be like super sneaky in lane with his W.
Yeah.
That can be annoying, but he also has some pretty bad matchups, I think. So
He definitely
I don't
does.
know.
Like if I'll look at last patch, he has 43% against Anivia. He loses hard to Renekton, to Yasuo, to Nico and Pantheon. Like anything that can
Malphite,
lock
I'm
him
sure,
down.
yeah.
I'm sure Malphite. And then the stuff that he's beating was like Gangplank, Rise, like Vigor, Tristana, Silas, like anything that can't get onto him super easily and he can harass. So that's Akshan then. John, do you want to run through Blitz for us?
Yeah, sure. So he's getting some changes to his base stats. Base health is going up from 633 to 650. His MR 28 to 32. His base attack speed from 0.65 to 0.625. And then his attack speed ratio 0.7 to 0.625. I mean, these are all like pretty small changes. And then on his passive, the shield strength is going from 15 to 45% of his max mana to 30% of his max mana, just flat. His W mana cost is going down from 85 to 75. The bonus attack speed on his W is going from, it was 30 to 82, scaling to 82. Now it's 30, scaling to 70. So they're toning back the attack speed on that. His E, the bonus physical damage, is going from 75% 80 to 100% 80, and the AP scaling is staying the same. Cost is going down on his E from 40 to 25 mana, and it says his E no longer deals a bonus 150% 80 to 9 champions. So it looks like they're trying to take him out of the jungle pretty much. And then his R, they are changing. They're adding it so it's plus 2% of his maximum mana as a multiplier on it. So it's still the same amount of AP scaling. It's still 50% AP scaling, but they added plus 2% max mana into the calculation of his passive damage. So a bunch of small changes, but then I think a few that are kind of trying to keep him out of the jungle and just so he's staying in support as his. I mean, it's his most popular position. Kind of just want to keep him there, I guess. I guess I just wanted to see what Blitz jungle, how that would look. So
Yeah,
I guess they're just taking it back now.
in the blurb they actually say that they, even when Blitz jungle was good, it was not very popular. Really, no one wanted to play him. There, they were playing him still in support almost exclusively. So he actually hasn't been very good in jungle. It's been like he's good in one or the other, they're saying. So they're stripping out all those jungle changes, like you said, to focus on balancing him around support, which I think is a healthy thing to do.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
with all of these, with all the individual buffs, his win rate has actually jumped up by 2%. So he is now at a 52.45%, and last patch he was at like 50.5%. So he's gone up by 2% or so. I mean, still early in the patch, but he has like 11,000 games, and he's winning 52.5% of the time. It's pretty good. So I'm guessing his ban rate will actually just rise. It was, I mean, like, it's already at 30%. Last patch it was 25. It's gonna go up, I think. I don't think it'll rival Zed levels or Nefiri levels right now of ban rates, but it'll still be pretty high.
Yeah, I think so too.
I can't wait till Goose gets back and we can see what he thinks about all these changes, because he hates playing against Blitz. He bans him every game.
I ban him a decent bit when I play ADC too. I hate playing against a good Blitz.
Yeah.
So annoying.
They completely changed the game with one ability.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the Blitz laugh, of course, you know.
Ha 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 ha.
Ha ha ha.
And then his dance, but his dance is very good. He does the robot Macarena.
Yep. So yeah, now you can be robot Macarena on people.
Yep.
Again.
Yep. Cool. Well, next we have Elise here. So Elise's passive bonus magic damage on her spider form autos is going up by a flat 2 damage at all ranks, and no changes to the ratios on that. And then the on-hit healing on basic attacks is also going up by a flat 2. That's per auto attack, so it's a little more important than it sounds with just a flat 2 each time. And then her cocoon stun duration, that's the human form E, was 1.6 to 2 seconds duration. Now it is 1.6 to 2.4. So it's the same level 1, and it scales up to be slightly longer. I don't know. I think the E duration is kind of whatever because she's burst. So if she's not able to burst you in kind of a second and a half, then it's not a big deal. Plus, this is usually her third max, I would think. So she's not like she's already going to be at the point where she's fallen off pretty hard by the time this comes into effect. And then the autos changes on her spider form autos just help a little bit with being early clear and early clear health. I don't know. I don't think this really does very much though for Elise personally. B0mo?
Yeah. I mean, oh, good.
I think she's gonna get really strong in the pro meta. I think the cocoon is kind of interesting. So I think was it season like 5 or 6 they had an Emax Elise out of the jungle for a lot of pro play because of the stun duration. Because 2.4 seconds is
It's long.
it's a pretty long time for a stun, and if you chain it with your laners, then they're pretty much guaranteed to kill. Like a Renekton Elise type of situation. If you get the empowered W on Renekton plus the cocoon from Elise, then I don't know if you're gonna get away from that. So I think maybe solo queue not so much, but I might be looking out for her for pro players to pick her up and see if she dominates. Maybe she might be a pretty important pick at Worlds.
I could see that happening. I don't, and Renekton is good now too. So like there are and other champions that you might want to pair it with, like if someone wanted to start picking like Pantheon solo lane, which is totally good, and pros could be picking it, but that or I don't know other things that have point and click CC durations or strong CC related abilities, then Elise could pair well with them. That being said, I don't think that this is enough to push her into extreme pro play relevancy. I mean, maybe like someone will play her, but still with lethality assassins being the kings of the jungle right now, uh, or the other champions that they're just not going to play. Like people hardly ever play Fiddlesticks or Evelynn, and they're just not going to play them. It's probably still just going to be like Maokai, Poppy, Wukong, Lee Sin, and a couple others, Skarner perhaps at Worlds. I'd like to see Elise, like even though I don't think that I don't think she's a good champion generally. She's still kind of fun to watch in pro play. So, yeah, and I think she's designed very well thematically. I will say, like her abilities all make sense, and it makes sense it's a well designed champion, even if I personally don't like it.
Yeah, I think it is well done.
Cool. Elise doesn't also look like... Oh, I accidentally clicked on something there. If I look at win rate changes, so far it's up by 1.2%, and the pick rate has doubled. So maybe this is a little more impactful than we're thinking in solo queue specifically. But it is worth noting that if you're below, I would say, Emerald or High Plat, don't play Elise at all, just because she falls off too fast for you to be relevant in mid to late game. As games go longer on average, the lower tiers you are down. Anyways, that is the rest of Elise. So, B0mo, do you want to take the missing link, Gnar, for us?
Sure. So for Mega Gnar, the Q damage is going up. So it was 25 to 205 based on level, and now it's 45 to 225 with the same 80 ratio. And the W wallop in the Mega Gnar form is increasing from 25 to 145 based on level to 45 to 165 per level. So it's just buffs all across for Mega Gnar.
What do you think this will result in? Do you think it'll move Gnar at all upwards, or is this not enough to really change what's struggling for him?
So I think his laning isn't an issue. I think what's hard about him is getting your Fury at a certain point for a team fight. But I think the damage for Q may be significant. in Mega Gnar if you're able to pick up the boulder, but the W is mainly used for stuns, so I don't know how much that's gonna affect it. But if you do land both for a single rotation, you're hitting them for an extra 40 damage.
Yeah,
which could
at
be-
level 11 or level
Yeah,
12, that
but-
is, does
yeah.
nothing.
So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Although actually,
Yeah.
now, so sorry, this is level 2. Actually, if you do that, that's an extra 40 as well. It's just 20 at everything per ability. So that makes a bit more of a difference.
I think he's pretty. Like, he's just not so good in solo queue right now.
If he's good in solo queue, he's a problem in pro play because he's a pro
Yeah.
play geared champion. Yep. I will say I think that they could nerf some of his stats down, but if they gave him a way to intrinsically, like in mini form, you have to actually be in combat to gain your fury. What if there was like by using your R, like you could activate your R in mini form that would damage you, like it would inflict like self damage in exchange for a bit of fury. And it would just be like a toggle basically. I think that would be a really interesting thing, and that would help him a lot solo queue wise. Because you could just sit in a
Sounds
bush
interesting.
with 99% fury, and then as it starts to go down, damage yourself for 100 health or something like that, get it back up, and yeah.
Mega Nard things.
Yep, exactly. His win rate has gone down by like 0.5%, but his pick rate doubled, so it's just people who weren't playing him before. So, Hecarim time. Okay. Hecarim's base mana is going up by 3. Okay, he needed that. His mana growth is going down by 20. His base mana regen is going up by 0.5, and his mana regen growth is going up by 0.2. His Q Rampage, the mana cost was 30 at all ranks. Now it is 28 to 20 with ability rank. And then the mana cost on his W was 50 to 90. Now it is 50 to 70. And then the Omnivamp, when you have it up, was 25% plus 2% of 100% bonus AD of damage dealt. Now it is a flat 20% of damage dealt. So the W is, in terms of efficacy, nerfed. Everything else is a buff, except for his mana growth here. This seems a bit puzzling to me. If I read the blurb of what they're going for, his builds are very squishy. He's starting to go for Spear of Sojin, which is great, but is still building Duskblade and Mana Immune. They're trying to lower his reliance on Mana Immune, and then if he continues to build it, it'll provide less damage. If he doesn't build it, his mana issues won't be nearly as severe. By not having to build Mana Immune, he should be open to buy other fighter items instead. They also are buffing Spear of Sojin, so they have to adjust him in order for him not to just be megally buffed. So that's why they're making these changes. This feels like, other than the W, none of this matters, I don't think. He's a jungler. Junglers don't have to deal with mana issues. That's like my favorite thing about the role. I don't ever have to look at my bottom bar, really.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he runs out of mana if you're spamming your Q, but I mean, still, it really isn't an issue. Like, you still actually can just spam it.
Yeah, I mean, unless they're gonna
So it's
try
even
and
easier.
give him extra minion killing power, minion specifically, and try and push him into a lane, but he's just not played anywhere else other than jungle. So then these mana things will mean something if he's played in a lane, but he's just not. There's no stats for it on op.gg. People don't play him there. So it just seems weird.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't know if I feel like that's a somewhat a bit of a weird way to accomplish trying to make it so he doesn't build like Duskblade Mana Immune. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, but we'll see.
Okay, well, John, do you want to take Kane for us?
Yeah. Kane, his WAD ratio is getting decreased. The physical damage is going down by 5 at every rank, and then so it's 90 to 270 plus 130% bonus AD, and it's going to 85 scaling to 265, and then 110% bonus AD. So, bit of a nerf. I mean, I think in solo queue, he was super good right now. So, he definitely need to be toned down a little bit. And then a quality of life change that they're doing is he now restores himself to max health and mana upon transforming into Shadow Assassin or Darken. So, I guess that's just a small quality of life change too.
It
But
was
it's
kind of
not nerf.
annoying when you would transform and then still have to just stand in fountain and wait for your health and mana, and
Yeah.
then you start to lose the movement speed boost from that too.
Yeah, that was annoying. But yeah, a little quality of life change, small nerf. I think it was needed. So
Overall, his blue form went down in pick rate. His ban rate is down so far, and yeah, Shadow Assassin Kane, the win rate has dropped by about 3%. Red form last patch was performing significantly worse than it is now. So people are just swapping, I think, blue for red, the people that are still playing Kane. Because red Kane also, with some of these item changes that we'll go into, got better as well. So red Kane is now the better form. Before it was blue Kane for sure. Yep. Cool. Next one is Kha'Zix. Yeah. Kha'Zix's QAD ratio has been decreased, so no bonus change, no base changes at all. His Q used to do 115% bonus AD, now it is 110% bonus AD. So a small touchdown. Kha'Zix has been very good in solo queue for a long time, and they're just nerfing him because he's been at too high. I have a point for too long, so that's about it. I don't think this really does all that much, though. Not that he needs that much. I think he's decent. He should be above 50% for him to be balanced because he's pretty simple. But he really just goes up and down with meta more than anything else, in my opinion. B0mo, what do you think?
Good. The next champion too. These are the 4 champions that I'm always banning in solo queue. Like I always ban junglers as a mid laner because I think they're just way too strong for what they do. If one of my teammates hovers those champions, it's fine. But I'm always trying to make sure that 3 of these 4 champions are always banned in a game because they just are so strong.
So
At least I know that it feels good that I realize that they're strong and I've been banning them because they're getting nerfed. But
that is
yeah,
nice.
it was kind of annoying playing as a mid laner against all these champions. Really, they just are able to do so much, and it always seems like these guys were always just fed out of their mind, just from like double killing bot lane or whatnot. It just seemed like they were able to snowball too easily, and so I'm glad that they're.
I think they're missing one
on that
off this
side.
list. I do agree with you that these are the ones that I don't like to face either. I think they're missing Shaco from this list as well, though. AD Shaco has been going crazy for a while now.
Tell that to all my solo queue games. The Shakos on my team go like conquer into AD. I'm like, what is?
Why?
Is
Just
this
go
your
Hail
first
of
time playing
Blades.
Shaco? But yeah, so I haven't noticed any enemy Shakos because all my teammates keep picking them and play some random stuff, and it's just,
Oh no.
maybe I didn't notice Shaco was broken. But these 4 are so oppressive.
Yeah. So the fourth one, why don't you cover it for us, is Kindred. That's the fourth one we're
True.
talking about.
So with Kindred, they're adjusting the E. So the physical damage was 80 to 160, scaling per level, plus 80% bonus 80, plus 8%, plus 0.5, percent per mark. Targets missing health. So so the damage is 80 to 160 plus 80% bonus 80 plus 8% times.
No, not times. It's plus 8%. So let's say you have 2 marks.
Okay, plus
So it's
8% plus 0.5 per mark.
per mark. So if you have 2 marks, it's
okay.
then plus 1%. So then that would be plus 9% in addition to the base stats and the bonus AD stuff that's happening there.
So 2 marks is 1%.
Yes.
Essentially. Mark. Okay, target's missing health. And it's based on your target's missing health. So now that's being adjusted to the base value is still the same, but now instead of it being plus 8% of target's missing health plus the 0.5 per mark, it's now plus 5%. So shaving off 3% in its entirety, I think.
That's big.
And then the slow is also being reduced from 50%, plus 5% per 100 AP for 1 second to now 30%, plus 5% per 100% AP. So I think the slow was the one that was causing a lot of problems for me. I didn't realize I would like greed my flash and end up dying because I didn't realize that the slow allowed them to catch up to me so quickly and also did so much damage. And so this is a good change, in my opinion, from playing a lot of melee champions, because I think she's really good into a bunch of melee champions that she can kite around or just chase down. But it is kind of insane that she can just dive me when she's level 6 and I can't do anything either. So this is all good.
Totally,
in my opinion.
Totally agree with you. I hate facing Kindred as well. Even if they're not good or they don't do well, don't enjoy facing them. And I'm glad that the win rate has dropped by 3% so far today.
Yeah.
Good all around.
It's insane too that they're able to just trade their lives for a mark, but it's still worth it for them. And I feel like that's so counterintuitive to the gameplay. Like they suicide for their mark, but they get the mark, but because they got the mark, the death is justified, which
kind of, yeah,
doesn't make sense to me. Like you should be set behind because you died, but you're not set behind that much because you got your mark.
Well, I don't know if I want Kindred to lose marks when she dies, but maybe if she gets a mark and then dies within 3 seconds of it, maybe that mark is nullified or something like that.
Yeah. I don't mean like losing the mark, but I'm just saying like it feels pretty bad when you're trying to get her off the mark, but she somehow gets it and dies for it, but it's still worth it for her in her point of view, right? So it just feels bad that you try to do everything you can to stop it, but she's still able to get it, and you're not even setting her that far behind for killing her. For greeting for that mark.
Yep.
And then she like forces the entire team to come help her for it, which is really annoying too, based on how I lane, and I hate sacking my lane to help her with this one instance.
Yeah. I'd like it known that I played a game of Poppy Jungle against a Kindred 2 days ago. Yesterday it was, yeah. And we won the game. I was like 10-0. But I systematically denied her of every mark, and then also like got our Fiora super far ahead. They had a Pantheon that was 0-14-2 with 85 CS by the end of the game in 23 minutes. It was bad for him. He did not have fun. But yeah, Kindred got 1 mark the whole game, and it was like 20 minutes in. She was systematically denied before that, and I was confused at one point because it popped up on a different camp, and then I put in all chat like, when did Kindred get a mark? Like genuinely curious. I wasn't trying to flame them either because I thought I had them all, but it felt nice because yeah, a lot of times Kindreds are running amok, and hopefully that's happening less.
Yeah, I think Kindred was strong, so this is needed.
Also, I'll say that I know that Kindred is strong in a solo queue environment. I don't think that she's good or in a pro play environment. And if she's nerfed seemingly this hard, then she probably won't appear at Worlds, which is selfishly good because I don't enjoy seeing her in pro play. I feel like it's way overhyped. But that's just me. So
Yeah, I agree too.
okay. Well, John, why don't you cover the Lady of Luminosity for us, Lux?
Okay. So Lux, her base mana regen is getting decreased from 8 to 7. Whoa. Passive damage is getting increased. So it used to be 20 scaling to 190. Now it's 30 scaling to 200. And then they're also changing the scaling on it. It used to be 20%. Now it's 25. And then her Q, they're changing it so that like putting points into your Q will lower the cooldown. So it used to be 11 at all ranks. Now it's 11 scaling down to 9. And then her E is actually getting a small nerf. It's just toning down the damage by 5 at every rank. So it's used to be 70 scaling to 270. Now it's 65 scaling to 265. I don't really know much, I guess, like about this shit, what this will do, but I don't know. In the blurb, it talks about they want to make it so mid lane Lux is more, I guess, viable or prevalent without making support Lux too strong. But
There's not a lot of stuff in her kit to balance around, so it's hard to walk that line.
yeah, yeah. But I don't know, because they gave her a few buffs, a few patches back, right? It was in her E and her R.
I think so, yeah. I don't know
But
why they felt the need to nerf this E, though, in compensation. Like, it's 5 base damage. It's not a huge deal.
exactly what I was thinking. Like, it's just such a small difference. Nothing with scaling or.
I think maybe this is for rewarding better Lux players. I think they
Yeah, I
shifted
could
the
see
damage
that.
to the passive, so you have to proc your passive to do the damage. And I think for me, from like a mid lane perspective, it's good that they're nerfing the mana.
Yeah.
Because the E in itself, you can clear waves and get a lot of poke off just because how big the E like radius is. And so if you're able to bait out a bunch of abilities and they waste mana, then it's better for you. But good Luxes are good at holding some abilities and not using them right away. So if they're able to hold it and actually hit them and then proc the passive, I feel like that would be better for those specific players. So I think it's maybe looking to tune up the Lux players who are at a slightly higher skill compared to the rest of the other Lux players.
Yeah.
And I've said this before. I'm a big fan of these types of changes where you're giving more to the skillful player
Yes.
of a certain champion.
Totally agree with that. And her win rate in mid lane has gone up by almost a full percent in response to this, and support has stayed about neutral. So maybe they've achieved it.
Yeah. I think that's.
Yep. Next we have Nefiri. So Nefiri did need some nerfs. So her base health is going down by 15, so it's now 635. Her passive, the cooldown on generating a dog was 25 to 10 seconds based on level. Now it is 30 to 15, so she'll generate dogs slightly slower early game. And then Nefiri's Packnates will now take 100% bonus damage from melee attacks rather than just normal damage. Her Q, the Darkened Daggers. So the recast minimum damage was, so that what I assume is if you were not already hit by the first one. So this is the recast minimum damage. The bonus, the base damage is down by 5, and then the bonus AD ratio was 70% bonus AD. Now it is 40% bonus AD. That's big. The recast maximum damage is the ratio stays the same, but it's down by 10 flat. So she only hits you with the second daggers and misses the first one, then it's going to do significantly less, especially as the game goes on. if she hits you with both of the daggers, it will do slightly less, but still mostly the same. And then the recast heal amount, I'll be honest, I forgot she had a heal in her queue, is down with more points. So it was 45 to 125. Now it is 45 to 105 with the bonus AD ratio staying the same. Additionally, her E is also getting changed. So the dash physical damage, the base is staying the same, and then the bonus AD ratio is going down from 60% to 50%. And the flurry physical damage, that's in like the damage in the area around her, was so the base is staying the same, but the bonus AD ratio is going down by 10% as well. So basically just tapping down a bunch of her stats. She's been like last patch, she was about a 50% ban rate. People have not been enjoying playing against her, and it's good that they're doing some of this because she does have an extremely simple kit. So introducing some reward for actually hitting your abilities is good in the queue, and then just lowering other stats a bit because she was a bit overtuned. Even I didn't mind playing against her, but most everyone else that I'd talked to has not been having fun playing against her. So yeah, B0mo, are you welcoming these changes as a mid laner?
Yeah, I didn't mind the damage. I really like the change to the doggo. So now melee champions do 100% bonus damage to the dog pack. Because in the lane, that's what you're really aiming to do. You want to avoid. You want to mainly avoid the Q and the follow up Q for the proccing the bleed. And while you're avoiding that, you want to kill the dogs so they're doing less damage overall. So I'm a big fan of the attacking the dogs instead of like a lot of the other parts of the kit. I know they're slightly hit, but it doesn't seem that big in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, the other stuff
'Cause
not very
it's-
much. Yeah,
yeah.
agreed.
Because it's so cheap and it doesn't, and the cooldown's pretty low too, so you can almost spam this ability in lane and not have to worry about it. And so if you're cutting off damage there over time, for sure, it might make a difference. But the couple short trades, just by how strong it already is, it doesn't feel too bad.
Yep. Her win rate has already dropped by 3% in mid. So these are impactful.
Yeah, I think impactful. I think she's still gonna be pretty good though.
Yep, I think so as well. But she's almost at a 51% win rate. For how simple her kit is, that's where she probably should be.
I agree.
So, B0mo, do you want to cover Orianna for us?
Sure. So the health growth is now increased from 105 to 110 per level. And the W command dissonance does extra damage now. So it was 60 to 240 plus 70% AP based on level. Now it's 70 to 270. So pretty significant jump. You're getting 10 extra damage level 1. This is usually your second max. So after your Q. And then you're getting up to an additional 30 damage, which I think is pretty big. They buffed her. I think she's only gotten buffs in the last patches. I think I've seen her hit, and
Yeah.
her ult is at like a ridiculous, like 100% AP or 110% AP. Maybe that was nerfed, but
I will look.
seems like she's getting really strong. I don't know why people aren't playing her. Maybe I'll start picking her up again. But as like a really good control mage, she seems like she would be really strong. But maybe people just don't like playing her because her playstyle's a little rough. In terms of like, it's a little boring to play her a little bit because it's very like by the books type of mage, and I know people don't really like that. They like the flashy and like a lot of dash champions, but she seems really good right now. So I would definitely recommend picking her up, especially for like newer players. She's not that difficult to learn. There's nuances to her, but it just seems like her numbers are kind of cracked right now.
Her ultimate, for the record, has a 95% bonus AP ratio.
Okay, so it's slightly nerfed, but still 95%. And then I think maybe the base damage was increased. The level 3 is what, like 300 something, or is
Level
that
3
incorrect?
is 550.
Okay, that's that's so much.
Because that's to everyone around, too.
Yeah, and so that's every single person you catch in your ultimate, and then by that time you'll probably have 300 AP. So you're looking at a good 700 damage just hitting your ult plus your W. You can get up to easily like 1,000, 1,100 for a shockwave plus QW combo, which is Kind of disgusting.
So on 1312, her AP ratio on her ultimate went up. It was 90%, so now it is 95, and it still is 95. And then the base damage was 250 to 450. Now it's 250 to 550, which is what it is now. So it did get AP ratio and base damage increases. But her win rate right now is I wouldn't say she's easy to play. I'd say she's like medium difficulty or so. And she has a 50.2% win rate, and her pick rate doubled since last patch. So she's pretty good, and if she doesn't get nerfed, we will see this at Worlds. There's no way that we don't see Orianna at Worlds. She probably should have been picked somewhat in the season, and she just wasn't.
She's gotten a few buffs in the last bit of patches.
She hadn't been
my
touched since
argument is-
1312, and then before that it was 13.4, I saw.
Okay. Yeah, I guess my argument is, why would you pick her over Azir? I feel like Azir just brings so much more to the table. But yeah, maybe there's a chance we see her being picked, but in my opinion, it's like Azir just seems so much better than her, and it does a similar job of as a control mage. You just put your soldier down and auto attack, and it seems like it's like power creep almost with Azir and Orianna, but the numbers aren't lying in terms of like her damage. It seems like it's pretty nuts. So I'll try her out and I'll report back.
Okay, cool. What I would love to see, actually, because pro players could pull it off, is to pick Azir, thinking that it's mid lane, put it in bot, because you can put Azir bot totally fine, and pair it with, like a Seraphine if you want, or a Senna, or I don't know, something else that has a lot more power early, perhaps like a Zyra. Put it down there, totally fine, and then you put Orianna, and then you pick Orianna and put her in mid. You get the best of both worlds, because then Azir can fly in, and then you can shockwave onto him, and then he throws away everyone with the Emperor's Divide. Sounds like it's pretty nasty if you could pull it off. So I do think that people have toyed with Orianna support. I don't think her numbers are in a way where she can be played very easily with that right now. She just doesn't have enough.
Better options. Yeah.
Agreed. She takes too long to actually realistically scale, because early on, other than her autos, her damage is pitiful. So. Okay, next we have Quinn. So Quinn's health growth was 99, now it's 107. Her Q, the physical damage, the ratios are not changing, but the base damage is going down by 20 late. Am I reading this right? It was 20 to 120, now it's 20 to 100. And her ratios are unchanged on the Q, and her E, the vault, the physical damage was 40 to 160. Now it is 40 to 140. So she does less damage on her Q and her E, but is a little tankier. And they're doing the same thing they do into Akshan, basically, just like lowering damage a little bit and increasing durability slightly. I don't know this. I think it's a bigger deal for Quinn than some other champions you could have done this with, because Quinn isn't bursting for the most part, especially early where she just wants to slowly tap the top laner down. But I don't know. This seems kind of weird.
No, I feel like I don't see Quinn all that often.
No, barely ever. Her win rate has, with her pick rate changing by like 0.1%, her win rate has changed by 0.1%. So she's roughly the same champion so far. Okay, that's enough. Samira is getting 30 extra base health. John, do you think that this matters at all?
I mean, it's nice, but I don't think it's an insane change.
Her win rate went up by about 1% with a slight pick rate increase.
Really? Okay. I mean, maybe it's bigger. I think. I mean,
we're only on the first day of the patch, though, so
yeah,
it may not be a big deal.
I don't know. It just doesn't seem that big, but early, I guess it's nice. But I don't know. I feel like you're playing Samira to play with engage support with a knockup, you know. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I guess this is just nice since shield bow seems not so great.
Yep.
So it'll make her a little tankier, but overall, I don't think it's a huge change. But it's just my first impression.
I agree with you. Yeah. Shield bow is getting changed this patch, but not in a way that'll really affect her all that much either.
Yeah.
Okay, so this change I am excited about. I've been playing a bit more Trinity lately, and his attack range is going up by 50, and then his AD is going down by 4. So overall, this is a pretty nice buff. Even though he's losing 4 damage, he's gaining 50 attack range. That's big. So apparently, Trundle, Master Yi, and Darius, and some others also have 175 auto range. And it makes sense that he should have a pretty good auto range for a melee because he has that giant sword. So, yeah, I think that this is great. I already think Trinity is decent, but I definitely like this as well. It'll be nice. And then put this with lethal tempo, he's going to be getting probably at like 300 auto range or so. It'll be sweet.
I think it'd be
That's
like,
pretty wild.
isn't it just an extra 100 for melee? So it'd be 2.
Is it 100? I don't actually know. Let me look.
Or is it 50? Maybe it's 50. But I
I
think
thought-
it'd be the realm of like an Irelia auto, which is really long.
I thought it was a %. So let me see.
I thought it was a.
Oh,
flat
you're right. You're right. It's
range.
flat. It's flat 50. So he'll be at 225 then. Once he has
And
it
then what's
fully
Irelia's
stacked.
attack range?
I'm looking right now.
I feel like that's kind of nutty. The
Attack range 200. His is bigger with lethal tempo than hers.
And so if you flash away, you can still get an auto attack off, and then it would crit and you die. That's probably gonna be so tilting.
Dude, that's so funny.
The range just is so long.
He just
What?
like, yeah, you're just like, you feel so far away from him, and he's still just hitting you like
yeah.
5 times every second.
Yeah, now his normal auto attack range now is his previous lethal tempo
Yeah.
auto attack range, and now it's with lethal tempo you're at 100 extra range compared to his previous version. I feel like that's gonna be
He
so
becomes a
long.
range champion when he gets
Yeah.
lethal tempo fully.
Kind
That's
of.
insane.
But okay, this definitely was warranted. I'm looking at the list of champions that have 175. There's a lot of them, but I'll just name some of these that makes a lot of sense. Like, let's see. So Tryndamere was not there before, but like Tom Kench had it. Silas has 175 for some reason, even though he's punching people. Ornn has 175. Meganar does. Kane does. That makes some more sense. Cassante has 175. Jarvan does. Garen has 175. Fizz has 175 too, folks. So does Belveth. Like, okay, he should have been in this tier, as opposed to at 125 with Akali, Alistair, Amumu, Blitzcrank, Braum, Camille, like Cho'Gath and Mundo are still there. Echo, Jace in melee form. Like, there's a lot of people at one. Actually, 125 is the lowest in the game. So I think it's warranted for his weapon to be that. But yeah, it is kind of crazy that you're now getting that much more range. So, okay, well, that's Tryndamere. I actually am curious. I didn't even look at his stats because I was too busy looking at the wiki. I mean, I'm sure this is a buff. He in Emerald plus in, let's look at top first. He's now at a 51.9% pick rate. Before he was 49.2. And then in mid lane, he didn't have a win rate before, and he didn't have enough play rate. Now it's like 52.6, and it does have a low sample size, but we're looking at like 1,300 games or so, so it's enough. He's doing a lot better, which is not surprising given what we were just talking about.
Yeah, he does seem to be doing a little bit better.
Yep. B0mo, you want to take TF for us?
Sure, they're increasing the damage on the Q. So the base damage is still 60 to 220 based on level, but instead of it being 80% AP, it's now plus 90% AP.
Big deal, not a big deal.
I don't know. I feel like in general he's always lacked damage. I don't know how much the 10% AP matters too much because a lot of the builds are like utility focused with like Everfrost and rapid fire cannon. Maybe the full AP TF might be the way to go, like Luden's Shadow Flame, Death Cap type of build, and maybe it presents a lot of global pressure now, but it just seems like he just doesn't have enough damage. But maybe you don't need damage with him. You just need the strong thing about him is his gold card, right? And then
Yep.
being able to ult anywhere and then stun anyone with a point and click.
And the rapid fire range is crazy with it. And
Yeah.
if he goes
It is.
Everfrost, like you're saying, like all of his builds that OP.GG are recommending is Everfrost with rapid fire and Lichbane and Zanya's in some order. That's everything that has any play rate.
Yeah, so maybe it bumps up his damage just a little bit. I do think that if you go AP, I think you can easily clear minions now.
You could
So
before, I
maybe-
think you took DMAT and then you used it on
but
like
I
2
don't think you have to take
creeps.
DMAT anymore.
Oh.
So if you don't have to take DMAT, maybe there's a chance that you can run some other damage rune or runes mastery, one of those.
Runes.
But yeah, maybe you don't need DMAT anymore for the range, and then you can just clear it insta.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know the damage thresholds on the minions and everything, but I wouldn't be surprised if that opens up. I mean, it definitely opens up more customization. Who knows if that actually is worth it. His win rate realistically hasn't really changed at all. It actually has basically not changed. His pick rate's gone up a little bit, so.
I feel like he's pretty bad right now.
Yeah, but if they're gonna buff him hard, like the patch after Worlds. That's what I'd like to see. Don't buff him that much right now because he's a pro play geared champion, like some others that we've talked about.
Yeah. Like B0mo was saying, like you really gotta take advantage of his global and getting those big gold cards off.
Yep.
I don't know. Personally though, I think the AP damage like is the most fun to play. But,
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with what both of y'all were saying.
So,
It's a big ARAM buff though for sure.
big
Oh,
ARAM
yeah.
buff. Big ARAM
Let's
buff.
go.
Speaking of another champion that I've recently played in ARAM that needed buffs and is getting buffs is Vex. So Vex's Q base damage is increased by 10 at all ranks. The AP ratio is unchanged, and then the W cooldown, that's the shield, it was 20 to 12 seconds. Now it's 16 to 12 seconds. So it's just until you start maxing this, because this is your last max, you get it 4 seconds faster. This is nice. Again, they have to be careful with Vex with Worlds coming up because she can absolutely turn mid games on its head, or just she's a win harder champion in a lot of ways. That being said, I've played her in Norms, I've played her in ARAM, and it felt like she needed some buffs. So I think she probably needs more than this for the unskilled folk like myself, but maybe this is enough to push her into pro play. We'll see. I think if TF is picked a lot, Vex is probably not a bad answer into her because you can match that early team fight power and you can kind of roam and follow. Especially if he's porting, you can throw your surge on him, and then once he lands, you can use your R again and then follow globally. So, yeah.
Yeah, actually, when I play Vex, W is my second max, so I might move
Really?
away from the W second max. Yeah.
And then you were maxing Q, W, then E, I assume?
Yeah, QWE. Yeah, I thought the shield was really. I think the values of the shield are really good, and so I've been maxing it just so I can have a lower cooldown. But now it's a rank 3 cooldown at level 1, so maybe I don't need to max the second. I can go E second, but I think having a lower cooldown on the shield is just so much more valuable, especially if you're always going in to the middle of the fight. I feel like I value the shield a lot more than the E when I play her.
Maybe put 2 points in because then you're almost at the rank 4 value with only 2. But I
Yeah,
also
I might check
don't
that
know
out.
what
Yeah, 2 points.
the E scaling. I don't know how good it is with. I'll look at the wiki real quick here, just to see, because I don't know about how maybe like putting points in E is kind of dumb. Like putting points in Renata Q is kind of dumb because it does nothing really. The cost goes up pretty much. The effect radius, it's cast distance. The damage goes up, the slow goes up on the E, as does the AP ratio. So it actually is worth putting points into. Okay. Cool. As far as win rates, Vex went so far from. She's now at 52.5. Previously, it was. Oh, come on, website. 51. So 1.5% increase and a small pick rate increase. Seems appropriate. Okay, John, do you want to take Vi?
Yeah, sure. Vi, her passive shield health scaling is getting increased. It's going from 10% of her max health to 12%. Her W, the cooldown reduction is getting increased. So the passive cooldown reduction is going from 3 seconds to 4 seconds. And then her E cooldown is going from 14 scaling to 8 to 12 to 8. And then the last thing, and then the little blurb it talked about, this is mainly for pro, but her physical damage is going down from
On the R.
Yep, on the R. From 150 to 500 to 150 to 400. And then the scaling is going from 110% of her bonus AD to 90%. So, turning down her R a little bit. I mean, I like all of these changes. I think these are good. I think they nerfed her pretty hard, but she was really strong for a while. Felt like so. I don't know. I think these are good changes overall.
100% agree. Okay, let me see about win rates, see how this has changed so far. But I'm guessing it'll probably be a net buff for solo queue and a nerf for pro play. Well, I was definitely right. Her pick rate has barely increased, and so far she's gained 3% in win rate off of this. Probably because most people were not building her lethality, because lethality builds are just objectively worse now with all of this. The longer you're in the fight, the more you're going to benefit from everything they did here. So if you weren't going the Sunder build, if you're going Eclipse and lethality before, it's less valuable. It can still work, totally can, but not as well. So Xerath is getting some changes. So Xerath's base mana regen was 8, now it's 6.85. His passive, the Mana Surge, the cooldown refunded on unit kill was 2 to 2.5, and then the W mana cost was 70 to 110, now it's 80 to 120. This is basically rewarding you, if you're spamming W, then you're going to have a little less mana, just kind of adjusting his mana patterns and stuff like that. And you need to be able to kill units to then get your passive coming up more frequently to restore mana. It's more of a support nerf than anything, because in mid lane you're killing units pretty consistently if you're not trolling. So, yeah. B0mo, what do you think about? Do you face mid Xerath at all, or do you not really see it?
Not really right now, but I did feel like Xerath was really good. I just didn't see a lot of people play. It's kind of the same thing with like Orianna, where if you lose your flash on Xerath, you're kind of not a champion at that point, because they can just perma gank you over and over again. You can't really do anything.
Yeah.
But in itself, I guess he is a good artillery mage. But I would rather pick Ziggs over Xerath if I was looking for like that type of artillery mage, because you have a little bit more tools to get out of rough situations with Xerath. doesn't really.
I would also rather pick Vel'Koz than Xerath generally too.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, both of them are harder to play effectively than Xerath as well.
Yeah.
Don't have a really cool dance.
He does have a very cool dance. Xerath's win rate has gone down about 1% in each roll in response to this, so. Yep. Xin Zhao's passive heal has been adjusted. The heal on third stack, so every third auto, so it was 60 to 74 based on your level, plus 10% AD, plus 65% AP. Now it is 3 to 3.5 to 4% levels 1, 6, 11, plus 65% of AP of your maximum health. So it no longer has an AD scaling at all. It just has a higher scaling flat, and the AP ratio is untouched. They're trying to incentivize you less to spec into lethality, and that's Xin Zhao's best build right now. He feels fine overall. I've played him once. He feels okay as a bruiser, but it's still not as good as just going like lethality with Eclipse and an Essence Reaver and Collector. So hopefully this actually brings them more into parity.
Coming in hot with my AP Bruiser Xin Zhao build again. After they
Hell
added
yeah.
AP ratios, I played a lot of AP Xin Zhao, and so it's time again. Just build Riftmaker, Nashers into
Tank.
Rylai's. A bunch of health and AP, and we just insta heal every auto attack, or every other auto attack, or third, I guess. But yeah.
Cosmic Drive would be
That
good on
deck.
him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just health and AP. That's what I would build. Just health and AP. You
I
just
like
get
it.
in there and just start autoing things down, and you just heal a bunch.
Yeah. Well, so why not go Sunderer and Nashor's Tooth? Why go Riftmaker?
Because you get innate healing by stacking up Riftmaker. And
Fair.
I think the Omnivamp is pretty good. I just like being a drain AP drain tank is kind of my favorite. Kind of like the Gwen. I really like Gwen a lot as a champion, and Mordekaiser.
What about Swain?
And so I don't like the aspect that I can't really. It feels like my auto attacks are not doing anything. I'm a very like auto space oriented person. I think that's why I really like Yone, because of the auto attack spacing and like the Q.
Okay.
And the Swain itself, it feels like if you miss your abilities, then, well, of course you're not gonna feel good if you miss your abilities, but it just feels like it's on such a long cooldown where a lot of the fights you kind of just have to stand there, and then you do auto attacks that don't really feel like they're meaningful.
Not if you go a tanky ability haste build, my man, and they can't kill you
Maybe,
because of
yeah.
your ult. If you go, I mean, you could go Roa, but I really like going Riftmaker and Archangels, and then like Spirit Visage, and then just full other tank stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You could go Anathemas in there too if they have one isolated type there, but cooldown boots and your autos, because you go Conqueror with that as opposed to going like Electrocute or Comet or something. You're going Conqueror, and then you're autoing to consistently deal a little bit of damage, but continue to make sure that you're proccing your Presence of Mind too. Like it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty fun to play.
But you can play Gwen instead.
No, I don't like playing Gwen. I find her extremely it feels clunky for me. I don't like it.
Oh, I really like Gwen. I'm a big fan of Gwen. I played her a lot in mid when she was like first release, but now she seems relegated to top lane. But maybe I'll play her back mid again. But
you can play her
really
in the
like
jungle.
Gwen as a
It's not that
champion.
great, but you can play her in the jungle.
I have to jungle then, and that's not what I want to do.
Yeah,
But
she's
listen,
actually
it's
pretty
keep me out
decent
of
right
that
now,
place.
though. What do you think her win rate is?
Who?
Gwen, yes.
In the top lane?
Yeah, she doesn't have any other stats in other lanes.
I don't know. Probably like 51.
49.
Okay.
She's not that strong. If she was 51, there's no way she wouldn't get nerfed before Worlds. There's no way.
Yeah, I feel like if she's at 51, like,
Good God. Good luck anybody else.
yeah, something's wrong. Something's seriously wrong.
Yeah. Then she's at like GP levels of OP. Xin Zhao's win rate and pick rates haven't changed all that much, so we'll see. Maybe that is because when like people are not adjusting their builds. Not quite sure. And then the last champion change is Zoe. Her base health regen has been increased by 1, so it's now 7.5 as opposed to 6.5. And then her MR reduction on her E when she hits you with the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, it was 20 to 30% scaling with ability rank. Now it is 30% at all ranks. Slight buffs, especially helping mids. Well, actually, this helps mid and support Zoe. Yeah, I like the health regen because she is taking some damage generally. I don't know. Doesn't do that much though because Zoe is not in an amazing state. But again, if they're gonna buff her, they're gonna buff her much harder post Worlds because Zoe is very good and in skilled hands.
Another good buff, in my opinion, similar to like the other skill, like the Lux buff. I think it's good if you're able to hit your E's consistently. Then I think it's usually your second max anyways. But you can get
It is, yeah.
the 30% MR shred is nothing to joke about if you hit it, and the damage with the follow up Q is kind of insane.
Yeah, I mean, at level 6 with a Lost Chapter, you can kind of one-shot most people if you're getting decent distance. Yeah, I still play it in support every once in a while. I don't play it in mid lane, though. I'm not aggressive enough to do that. I don't want to deal with minions and shit like that. Let my ADC do that. I just want to fire abilities at the enemy. But I like this, especially as a Zoe ARAM fanatic. Okay, so that's the rest of the champions, and now we just have some item changes. Actually, we have a decent amount of them, and then some rune and system changes as well. So, first item that's getting changed is Bloodthirster, the engorge health requirement for the bonus AD. So before you would get bonus AD that scaled depending on your level. If you had over 50% of your health, now it's above 70% of health. This makes it, I think, a lot worse of an item. You basically need to be mostly full health in order to be actually have this be giving you what you're looking for from it. I don't know. I think this is significantly worse now.
I agree. Like I was still getting this like fourth item on Rhaegar. I think it's super good. I think it'll still be pretty good because like I mean ideally you're jumping out of a bush almost full health.
Right.
So at that point, like where it's your fourth item, I wouldn't get it before then anyway. But yeah, I agree. I mean this is like for everyone else. In general, I think it's just a lot more annoying to deal with. Like you're just not getting nearly as much value if you're not above that threshold. So
yeah, I think
it's a lot of AD, especially late game.
The only other champions that I can think that would still realistically enjoy this would be Aphelios would enjoy it, and maybe Crit Zeri, but I don't even know about that one. I think it's kind of just an Aphelios and maybe like Draven at best there, but still not even Draven that much.
I think it makes it harder to justify buying this item now. Because before you would make the choice of going Bloodthirst or Shield Bow, but I feel like now you always want to go Shield Bow because it's 400 gold cheaper, and you don't have to meet a certain requirement to actually use its passive. While Shield Bow, the passive will always proc for you. So I think Shield Bow is probably a better item now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we segue and cover Shield Bow then so we can do the direct comparison, especially because Shield Bow has been buffed on this patch. So the Lifeline Shield was 215 to 500, scaling at levels 11 through 18. So level 11 below, the shield was always 215. Now that base shield is 290. So you're probably getting like the level 13 value at level 11. And then late game, this is still the same. It doesn't get any better later on. It's just overall better. So if you're getting to 3 items by level 11, you're already really fed. So this would be a better idea to get some defense to stop them from shutting you down. But I do agree with your guys' assessment that if you're going to be looking for a lifesteal crit item, Shield Bow is the better one to take 9 times out of 10. Cool. Okay. The one that most people have been screaming about, Duskblade, is getting changed, folks. So, the Night Stalker passive has been changed to functionally mask or match other untargetable effects. Duskblade will still not block towers. So before, like, it would ignite damage would stop any dot or anything that they would be affected by. Not like an Anivia ultimate, but anything else that's already applied on them would stop, which would people wouldn't die because of that. So that is gone, and then now it destroys incoming non-tower projectiles when triggered. So, like, let's say an auto attack is about to hit the person, they get the passive, that auto attack disappears. It's gone. They're not going to get hit by it. So they're changing the way that it works to make basically like, so you're going to get affected by stuff that's already on you, but anything coming towards you will not trigger yet. Realistically, just make them go invisible again. I far prefer that to people being invulnerable. It's just so much. Or make the stats a lot worse, so you're going to really value the invulnerability as opposed to actually getting decent damage out of it. I don't know. Maybe I'm alone, though,
Yeah.
but I hate facing Duskblade users.
I mean, I don't know. I think that's like I'm okay with this. I mean, I thought it was pretty wild that you just couldn't take any damage while also being untargetable. So, I mean, it's whatever. I think this is healthy for the game, but I don't know. I kind of miss old Duskblade.
Same. It was so gratifying the
I don't
couple
know.
times when you could get a full 5-stack together and everyone goes Duskblade. You're in a team fight and boom, everyone's invisible.
Yeah, I mean, and even, but I guess I meant like the iteration before that. I liked a lot more. I don't know. I guess to me it was like they went from the problem of having to deal with the issues of having like having a character that can go invisible, super like get the benefit of that passive a bunch in a fight and just be like permanently invisible. It felt like, but then to a new problem of like they just are untargetable. Like even if you like, I guess with the invis, like you could guess where they might be, but like with this and it just being untargetable is pretty insane, right? Like, and I guess the way they coded it was like just so like I don't know, you weren't on the map almost because I mean you just can't take damage like even if you got ignited. So I think this is like just a good change overall, but obviously I've used Duskblade a good bit, but I don't know. I'll just have to see how it feels. I played one game earlier, went Duskblade on Rengar, and it felt fine to me. But or
Yeah,
no, actually, I did not. I didn't go Duskblade. I actually went Eclipse. I think Eclipse becomes a more attractive option. But I don't know. I think Duskblade is still gonna be all right, but these I think are good changes, like for the health of the game.
yeah, and realistically, it doesn't change that much. It just helps those edge cases where you're ignited. I mean, it says it right here. If you have someone that's ignited and then they stop taking ignite damage because there was a takedown in the fight, like that's a little fucked up, and that should be gone now. So,
Yeah.
yep. I think the stats
I've-
are still too good for what Duskblade provides, personally, though.
I mean, it's like good stats and good passive, really.
Yeah, there's almost since Duskblade came out, I have not built Eclipse once.
I like Eclipse personally. Like I don't know. I mean, it's definitely like the stats aren't as good, but I don't know. I think it's just nice for skirmishing, but Duskblade is great for the team fights.
Yeah. Next item that's been changed is Evan Shroud. The damage amplification when you put CC on an enemy was 10% your allies would do to it. Now it is 7%, so a slight nerf. Realistically, I think this is because a lot of tank junglers have been building Evan Shroud as opposed to building a tank mythic, and they're hitting it that way. That's what I think is like the subtext of this. It does say that they're trying to bring it in line with Locket and incentivize people building Locket, because I basically never see anyone build Locket anymore. So maybe it'll be a bit better. Thoughts on Evan Shroud? Anything, guys?
I don't. I just don't build it a whole lot, but I know Goose always says it's super good, so this is probably needed.
Yeah.
In the ARAM we played over the weekend, John, I built it on Belveth.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
I learned it from
For
my
a W.
support. Yeah, I learned it from my support player who plays Belveth support and would build Elven Shroud.
That's
But
awesome.
I think this is now the weakest it's been, because when the item first released, it was a 12%, and then they reduced it to 9%, and then no one played it after that, and then they buffed it to 10, but now it's to 7. So from release, it's down a whole 5%, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. And the duration is down from what it used to be as well. Dang. Okay. Yep. Gore Drinker is also getting changed. Yeah, John, talk us through Gore Drinker.
Yeah. So the item recipe for Gore Drinker is getting changed. It used to be a Iron Spike Whip with a Caulfield's Warhammer and a Kindle Gem. Now it's the Iron Spike Whip with a Phage and a Kindle Gem. So Phage instead of a Warhammer. And then the health is getting increased by 100 from 300 to 400. Also, I guess one thing to note is for Gore Drinker, the total cost is the same. So, yeah, I mean, I think that Gore Drinker was just all right in my opinion. So I don't know. It probably needed some love. Maybe whenever I play against super melee heavy teams, I can go the gross Gore Drinker Graves.
Oh my
Black
god.
Cleaver that you absolutely love, I know.
Oh my
And with
god.
Ghost. And
Yeah, I was just thinking
that
like
sounds
you need
fun
Ghost.
stuff.
Oh Jesus, fuck you, dude. No, I don't like that is a possibility. Is really what I don't like. But I do like Gore Drinker as an item. I think it's very fun to use.
Yeah,
So like, if
I
you
do
enjoy
too.
playing Graves, then like Graves Gore Drinker sounds like it's a lot of fun in theory.
I mean, I think this is great for Lee Sin too. I mean, this is always nice.
Xin Zhao, like anyone that
Xin
really
Zhao,
Renekton.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that a lot of people who should be building Gore Drinker and weren't, maybe this will help it. But I don't know, we'll have to see. Like, I feel like Aatrox, right, should be like he should build a Gore Drinker. But yeah, hopefully that gets changed with the changes we talked about earlier. But I can't remember the last time I saw Aatrox build Gore Drinker.
I think it was probably by me in an ARAM. Like, I don't see it either.
But yeah, I think it needed a little bit of love, but it'll be nice. We'll see where the changes land.
Maybe Red Cane actually starts to build this instead of full lethality now too.
True, very true.
Yeah. We already went through Shield Bow, so we have 3 more items. It's a lot of text here. Okay, Spear of Sojin. They're trying to make it a solid middleweight fighter item. So the item recipe has been changed. It was Caulfield's Warhammer plus BF Sword plus Kindle Gem. Now it is Caulfield's Warhammer plus Pickaxe plus Kindle Gem. Because of the recipe change, although the total item cost is unchanged, the combined cost went from 100 to 525. The AD went from 65 to 60, so it lost 5 AD, but it did gain 150 health. So it was 350, now it is 500. And then the Dragon Force, oh my god. Okay, so, and this is ability haste that gets granted to non-ultimate abilities, I believe, just to exist with them. So it was 8 plus 8% bonus AD haste for melee champions, and then 6 plus 6% for range. Now it is 16 plus 4% bonus AD for melee champions, and 12 plus 3 for range. So it's a buff before 200 bonus AD, and then after that it is power neutral or nerf for Dragon Force specifically. They're trying to make this basically like you would want to go Gore Drinker, like we were just talking about, and this, and then tank items is realistically what they're looking for, or Sterix or something like that. Like they're trying to make it contend for item slot 2 on Bruisers, and I think that this gets it pretty damn close to doing so.
Yeah, I think that's a good assessment of it because it's felt right now in its past iteration before this these patch like came out. It just felt like it was very niche for a few people, like Jax,
Hecarim,
Hecarim.
yeah.
I think it was really good on.
It felt win harder as well. It didn't feel like a generally
Yeah.
good item.
And you weren't going at like with the exception of those champions, like you were going at like third item, right? So it's I don't know. It just felt like it wasn't being built in general very much. So I think this is a good way to do that.
Yeah. B0mo, any thoughts on Spear?
No, I never really use this item.
Don't worry, I don't either. Most people don't.
You don't go Spear on Yone?
No.
What about on your Diana when you build Riftmaker? Or sorry, that's
No.
Riftmaker Yone. You don't build Riftmaker Diana, my bad.
No, yeah.
Okay. Well, here's an item that I think most people are happy to see being nerfed is Static Shiv. The bonus damage against champions, specifically the AP ratio on it, is getting cut in half again. So it was 30%, now it is 15%. This doesn't actually. I was hopeful one before I read this, but now it doesn't really do anything because this is mostly just built on AD champions now. They just really don't want it to be as effective on, they say, AP Kaisa or AP Varus, or like LeBlanc can build this, or I don't know, you can build it on some other champions, but it's just a wave clear. It's just making it wave clear. Otherwise, it's kind of garbage stat wise. Otherwise, it's very satisfying. I will say that it's a lot of fun to use, but I don't think it's very good, and this makes it worse. B0mo,
Yeah,
you're nodding
I agree.
along. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. But I worry that this will be another useless item now, though, because it was very niche with its AP scaling, so you could have a lot of champions build it, but I don't know, maybe it might not be built that much anymore.
I think it's just gonna be like, if you're gonna build it if you're just trying to survive against mid game, really, because you build this first, and then you're probably getting it by 9 minutes or so. By that point, early laning phase is over, so you're getting it for the lane to mid game transition. And at that point, if you've bought this, unless your champion is just inherently way better than the other champion you're facing in lane, or champions if you're talking about lane, you're kind of giving them back control or conceding the rest of that transition there. So it's just not that good. Now, if you're behind and you manage to get Static Shiv, it allows you to stem the bleeding really hard. I was playing Tryndamere yesterday against a Gragas top, and I hate facing AP Gragas, but he was doing pretty well, and then I built Static Shiv, and I could kind of ignore him at that point. I could clear the wave, go take Gromp, walk back, and let him do his thing, kind of. But I don't know. I'm happy that this item is getting nerfed. I don't think this is the way they should do it. I think it should be like lower the actual damage on the bolt, or make it not jump as far, perhaps. Cool. Everyone agrees with me. Last one is Stridebreaker. It's getting 75 health. They're giving it a buff because they buff Gore Drinker, so they're making it a little bit better. Especially because this item barely has any users, so it helps them a little bit. So the Darius, the Garen, I don't know who else builds Stridebreaker. Tank Nocturne.
Belveth.
Yeah, Tank Nocturne. Yeah, Bruiser Nocturne.
I've seen Bruiser Nefiri build this, but that's
Yeah,
it.
It seems pretty good on Neferi too, because you just stick to them and they can't get away, and you just kill them.
Yeah.
Doesn't Olaf do Stridebreaker, or I guess Gore Drinker or Stridebreaker?
Yeah, in pro play, I think he goes Stridebreaker just to be able to get on and stick on to people. Yeah.
Bring
What
the
about
dash back.
maybe Rek'Sai, right? Doesn't Rek'Sai like
Yeah,
have a version
Rek'Sai
of
does like
Rek'Sai?
this now. This is a Rek'Ai item.
Yeah, I didn't think about that up
I
just now.
I didn't either, even though I ban Rek'Ai every game. I forgot about that.
Did yeah, she's still pretty. Oof.
She was the best jungler on last patch, statistically. I don't want to face her. No, thank you.
Yeah, please.
Okay, one rune futures market is they're saying it's overperforming, and I really don't like this. Futures market it's been overpowered for what 3-4 years at this point, and they're finally touching it. The debt limit starts at it used to start at 145, and you get +5 per minute. Now it starts at 100, and you get +8 per minute. So this is a buff starting at like 18 minutes, but pre-18 it's not a buff at all. They're really saying that it's consistently being picked by junglers more so than any other role. They're trying to stop junglers from being able to get their first item so much faster, and that makes me sad as a AP Maokai futures market first strike money printing machine.
This man's just printing money
Printing money.
with saplings.
Yep. I'm making little trees. They're returning me the money. I'm cutting them down for money, and it just. Yeah. But that's the last of those changes. I mean, what do you guys think about the futures market change? Because that's actually, I think, a decent thing, especially for mid lane too.
Yeah, I definitely took this a decent bit on Rengar and really just all junglers because I think I did get a bit on Graves too. It's just so nice being able to get the power spike especially if you're just a little short. But yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely been overpowered for a while, like you were saying.
Yep.
So
B0mo, thoughts on this futures market change?
I'm not too sure. It might slow down some of the mid lane. So I was going a lot of futures market to get Lost Chapter pretty early, so I'm wondering how much that would affect that. Because you can get a Lost Chapter at like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
With futures market and going in debt, and so you could just perma wave clear and not have any downsides. So maybe that's a 5 minute issue now because you'll also be farming more minions. But yeah, I'm curious. Maybe it lines up better with using TP. So when you're at like around 5 minutes to get your Lost Chapter, TP back, and then you'll theoretically, if you don't engage with your laner, then you can just perma farm, and then by the time you're ready to buy your next mythic item, then you should have your what's the unleash TP back up, so
Right.
you can TP anywhere with your mythic. So maybe that's a play. Again, it's like hard to really tell. It's like a nerf to junglers, but I feel like it could still be good for a mid lane perspective.
I think it is still good and almost as effective with anyone who takes first strike and can proc first strike gold to make up for that little bit of deficit, or on Twisted Fate if they're taking futures market. I mean, they're not because they're taking DMATs most likely. But if they're not taking DMATs, which if you're wondering why they're not, rewind to earlier when we were talking about TF. But yeah, that could still be one. But otherwise, I think I mean, it's not that I think it is a straight up nerf. Otherwise, so yeah, unless you're pinging out a hell of a lot of wards as you see them go down, that could maybe make up for a little bit.
yeah, but yeah, overall I think it's good change.
Cool. So there's a couple systems things as well. John, you mentioned I didn't even see this until right now. They're adding a patience bar to Dragon. Thank God.
Yeah, I felt like Dragon was kind of buggy as well. So
Yeah, now we'll at
I
least
don't know.
understand it.
Yeah, because sometimes it felt like it would just randomly restart the aggro. So this is just nice to have some visual, like indication of where exactly everything is.
And then they're changing some of the rounding with catch-up experience in the jungle. They don't exactly say how it works, just that they're changing it so that if you're slightly less than 2 levels below the enemy, then you might get catch-up XP, as opposed to before you wouldn't. That's it for that. ARAM changes, and that Blue Essence Emporium is back. So yeah, and then bug fixes. So we did identify a couple that we thought were important to bring up. Fixed a bug that caused heal to not grant move speed to the ally healed. So I have no idea how long that was in the game, but it seems like that was in every case. When you pressed heal, the other person would not get the movement speed. They'd just get the actual health restore. That's a big fucking deal. Then also fixed a bug that allowed Camille to determine if Nico was disguised due to her passive adaptive defenses. Because you can, little icon is next to the champion, and it'll either be orange or blue depending on if they are primarily physical or magic damage. So then that's how she could be able to tell, which is also fucked up. Lastly, fixed a bug that caused Caitlyn's pulse fire skin and the chromos to not display the headshot ready indicator VFX, and that's a decently big deal because you're not trading with Caitlyn when she has her headshot. If she doesn't have it, you're more likely to trade with her, but don't trade with her when she has her headshot. You're going to probably lose the trade. Those are the only bug fixes that I saw. Did you guys see anything else that you thought was important to add?
I guess one that I just saw that's, I mean, like, I don't think this is insane or anything, but fixed a bug that caused Font of Life to not trigger on Lucian's passive Light Slinger. Like, that's a little frustrating, but glad that's fixed.
Yeah, agreed. They have arena bug fixes here, but arena's gone. So I'm guessing these are bug fixes and the game is still technically in, because when it returns in like December or so, then it'll be live here. Yeah.
True, and the skins look insane.
Yes, they do. I love the Cosmic skin line whenever they have them, and these ones look great. I do think that the Scion one looks maybe the worst of them all. I don't like Belveth, but I think the Belveth one looks amazing. If you haven't seen it in game, just go watch it. It looks so good.
What's with the Jin one? Like, is that just
It's the
like, if
gotcha skin.
okay.
So you have to open. If you open like 30 tests or like the capsules, then you're guaranteed that skin. But you can get it before, but it's like it's how TFT does their like
Gotcha.
chibi character like acquisitions. But I think people are saying it's almost like it's like a mythic, kind of like the what's the other champion that had a mythic chroma in the shop, but they put it behind like this huge paywall, so you have to spend $200 if you're unlucky to get the skin instead of just being able to buy it outright.
Mordekaiser, it
That's
might have
wild.
been. It might have been Kane, perhaps. I'm trying to think. There are a few though that have had that. Maybe it was an Evelyn one. I don't know.
Yeah. It's the Vagar. So the Vagar had a mythic chroma. So all the other skins were like a mythic skin, but this is like it's like a chroma, but they call it its own skin line.
Yeah.
But apparently it's a recoloring of like dark cosmic.
It looks sick. Yeah, the
Yeah.
splash art looks really cool.
It looks pretty cool, but you probably won't be. This is for the whales of League of Legends. So Riot said they wanted to appease the whales, and you can't re-roll it for a whole year. So you'll be able to get it next year in your loot box. But up to that point, they want to keep it for the people who are paying a lot of money to have a skin to show off.
That makes sense. I'm glad they're not introducing more whaling from everything else, because I play some mobile games where they cater to only the whales. So I'm glad they're not doing that writ large. But it's fine if you want to throw a bone to them. Makes sense. So, okay. Anything else that you guys want to chat about before we call it?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Well, please join us on community nights, which happen Tuesdays at 7:15 Eastern time. They're a good time and last for several hours, so please come join us for that. If you have any feedback for us, please let us know at the email address questions@trinityforcepodcast.com. TrinityForceNetwork.com, sorry. And then if you can also drop that feedback in the feedback thread of our Discord server. Don't know how to find our Discord server? Go to our website. Lastly, we have a Patreon, and that the money that we get from that helps keep the lights on. So if you are feeling generous and you like the content that we create, please go check that out and sign up for whatever tier feels most applicable to you. This has been episode number 823 of the Trinity Force podcast. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.